Dear participants, now as for the preparation of PMP exam, we will be talking on the lesson 2. We know that we have 6 lessons. So in the previous video, we have done the lesson 1. Now we will be focusing on lesson 2. It is about the start the project, how you will start the project, right? So in this lesson, actually, we will be focusing on 4 aspects. One is stakeholder identification, how you will be identifying the stakeholders. Then how to build shared understanding. Then form the team. And last one is project approach. What will be the project approach? So in this lesson, actually, we will be talking about the stakeholder register, the assessment grid and matrix mode, and also about stakeholder engagement plan, communication management plan, and stakeholder engagement assessment matrix CM. So let's start from now. The first question is, who are the stakeholders? So the people who will be affected by the project, they are the stakeholder. The people who are actually perceived that they are affected, so they will be stakeholders. The people who will be beneficiary from the project, they are the stakeholders. And also the people who will be the victim of the project, they are the stakeholders. So from this one, actually, we can find that there are 2 kinds of stakeholders. One is internal stakeholders, another is external stakeholders. In internal stakeholders, we have sponsors, we have resource manager, we have project management offices, PMO, and portfolio steering committee, program managers, project managers of other projects, and team members. For the external stakeholders, you will find the customers, the end user, the suppliers, shareholders, and the regulatory bodies, especially the competitors. They are the external stakeholders. So how, as a project manager, how will find the stakeholder list? What will be the source? So you have to go through the project charter. You have to go through the business documents. You have to read the project management plan. You have to find the project documents. You have to read the agreements. You have to see the enterprise environmental factors. You have to also see the organizational process assets, the procedures, the policies, the documents are there. So from these sources, you can find the stakeholder list. So to identify the stakeholders, you have to ask questions. Who are they? So you have to see the business case, the issue, impediment logs, change logs, and you have to find who are they. And you have to find also what is the relationship between the stakeholders, what is the interest of them, how they are involved, what is their interdependence, is there any interdependence or not, how they will be influencing the project, and what will be the potential impact. These are the questions you have to ask to identify the exact stakeholders. So, and then you have to, after identifying, you have to assess stakeholders and who are they and how you can do it. This assessment, you can do it by data gathering. You have to make questionnaires, you can do surveys, you can make a brainstorming discussion from which you will be collecting the data. After collection of data, you have to do the analysis of the data, and you have to do a stakeholder analysis. Stakeholder analysis is to find how the stakeholders are connected, what is their stakes, how they are interested, what are their rights, how or what about their ownership, is how much they have the knowledge and contribution of them. You have to do the document analysis. So at the beginning, actually, when you find the list of stakeholders, you can make a stakeholder register. So it's an artifact too. So to make a register, in the register box, you have to make some columns where you will put the name of stakeholders, title of stakeholders, internal or external, you have to mark them, role of the stakeholders, the requirement given by the stakeholders, the expectation by the stakeholders, and the influence of them, and attitude of them. You have to list them. And these register will be started from the beginning of the project, but you have to update it regularly. Now you have to know the stakeholders. To know your stakeholders, you have to actually know about the power interest grid. What is that? You can see the graph here underneath of the slide. You can see it. So in the power interest grid, actually there are 4 boxes. One is managed closely. What does it mean? It means that high power and high interest. You see in the vertical side you have power, in the horizontal side interest. So managed closely is high power and high interest. So if we take an example of metro rail project, in the metro rail project, actually the fund providing authority, the government or the JICA, they are the fund provider. So they are the actually have the high power and high interest. So we have to manage closely whatever they want. And second one is high power and low interest. So this one, they have the high power but low interest. In case of metro rail project, it can be about they have the power. For example, Washa, Dhaka City Corporation, they have the power to stop the project, to not supporting and cooperating the project, but they are not interested about it. So you have to keep satisfy them. Number 3 is low power and high interest. This one, power is low but high interest. Who are they? For example, environmental organizations or NGOs or any kind of citizen level organized group, political group, they have actually low power. They can just tell it, but they have high interest. They are keen to know about the project. So you have to keep inform them. You have to inform them always whatever happening in the project. What is your view? What you are going to do? So you have to inform them regularly to to keep them informed. And last one is low power and low interest. So these are the common citizens who do not have power and they are not bothering about this issue. So you have to just monitor them. If there are any repercussions or any sound, you have to address that. Otherwise, you will just keep monitoring them. Don't bother. So these are the 4 grids. Whoever your stakeholders of your project, you have to put them in these 4 categories. Either you will be managing closely or keeping satisfied or keep them informed, or you have to monitor them. These are the 4 categories. So it depends on the power and the interest of the stakeholders. And then we have another one, 3-dimension cube, or place each stakeholder in the grid. So if you see another one, this one, so there are 3 circles. One is power, and there is legitimacy and urgency. But here you will find 7 categories of stakeholders. Number 1 is, you will see in the power category. Number 1 is dormant. Who are dormant? They have the power, but they do not have the legitimacy. They do not have urgency. Only power. So they will be the dormant stakeholders. On the other hand, this one, demanding, they have the urgency, but these stakeholders do not have power, do not have legitimacy. So they will be demanding only. And there is another group, discretionary. That means they do not have power, they do not have urgency, but they have the legitimacy. So they use the discretionary power. And at the middle, you see definitive. What does it mean? Actually, they have the power, they have the legitimacy, they have the urgency. So you have to manage them closely because they have both power, legitimacy, and urgency. So these are the group definitive, and this is dangerous. Why? Because they have the power, they have the urgency, but they are not legitimate. So that's why it's called dangerous. Another one is dominant. Why dominant? Because they have the power, they have the legitimacy, but they do not need any urgency. That's why it's dominant. And another one is dependent. Why dependent? They have the legitimacy and urgency, but do not have power. So actually they are dependent. So in this way, in terms of power, in terms of legitimacy, in terms of urgency, you have to categorize your stakeholders to make clear to the people, to the project. And last one, another is 3Q. You will see here. This is power, interest, and attitude. So it is like before we have discussed about the power and interest grids, but this has Q. This has three issue: power, interest, and attitude. If a stakeholder has power, has interest, and has attitude, so he will be actually influential, active backer. On the other hand, if some stakeholders who doesn't have power, doesn't have interest, does not have attitude, he will be actually insignificant, passive backer. So it depends on, maybe it can be someone has power, someone has attitude but do not have interest. Some other can have power, interest, do not have attitude. Their attitude is not positive. So it depends on the stakeholders. So you have to categorize these stakeholders with, by these three features. One is power, number two is interest, and number three is attitude. Based on this, you can categorize them. Either they will be influential active backer, or they will be insignificant passive backer, or significant active backer, or insignificant passive backer. So you can define them based on their interest, power, and attitude. So another two is this one. You will see direction of influence. So some stakeholders are directing from upward, some are directing from downward, some are directing from the outward, or some are from sideward. So direction of influence is different from different stakeholders. So from this video, actually we have learned about the stakeholders, how we will be listing the stakeholders, and how we can make the stakeholder register, and how we can categorize them to understand the power of stakeholders, the interest of stakeholders, the attitude of stakeholders, and what is the capacity. Based on them, we have to deal with them, because we have to categorize them. The people who have more power, more legitimacy, more positive attitude, we have to deal them seriously. So based on their positive attitude, their interest, their legitimacy, their power, we have to deal them. So this is all about. Thank you so much.